a two-way guard with playoff poise, the kind of player who doesn't blink under bright lights, fitting into purple and gold like a key sliding into a lock. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. I'm bringing you the full, practical read on a possibility that's both electrifying and brutally difficult. Derrick White to the Lakers. I'll walk you through the why before the how. Why his skill set hits every pain point this roster carries into crunch time. Why the cap math is a minefield in the new CBA. Why Boston's leverage is sky high. And why the only path that makes sense requires patience, creativity, and an offer that doesn't gut what already works. Stick with me because I'm not dropping the headline conclusion until the end. Before we get there, I want you to feel the fit on the court. See the rotations in your head and understand the chessboard the front office is staring at tonight. Here's what makes this idea so hard to ignore. Derrick White is a system amplifier. He plays like J.J. Redick draws on a whiteboard, 0.5 decisions, no wasted dribbles, the pass that punishes the defender who leaned half a shoe in the wrong direction. On offense, he is low usage, high leverage, catch and shoot ready on the second side, clean footwork into straight-line drives, patient in the pocket to hit the short roll, and ruthless at finding the corner drift with the simple pass that creates a great shot out of a good one. He doesn't hijack possessions. He moves them along. Next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, that's gold. LeBron can run a set, move off the ball for a beat, and know the action won't stall. AD can live at the elbow or dive out of horns and trust the entry will arrive on time and on target. When the game slows in the fourth, White's value spikes because he protects possessions. He takes the air out of sloppiness. If you've watched the late clock empty possessions that burn this team every January, you know why that matters. Defense is where the conversation gets loud. White is one of the league's best screen navigators at the guard spot. He slithers over picks without opening the middle, stays attached with discipline, and closes windows by arriving on the catch instead of chasing from behind. He switches with balance, contests without fouling, and he's a rare guard who will meet a drive at the summit with timing rather than just a reach. Those chase-down blocks that flip runs come from awareness, not gambling. Put that in the Lakers' shell, length outside, AD behind, and you get a perimeter that buys the big man an extra half second and turns opponents' A actions into B actions. That's playoff defense. Imagine the closing five: White, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Rui Hachimura, AD. You get 2+ decision makers, 2 credible spacers around AD's gravity, and 3 defenders who talk early. Swap Rui for a hot hand shooter? The shape still holds. Swap Reeves for a stopper look? You keep structure. White lets you toggle matchups without changing identity. Let me zoom into the actual actions, so this isn't abstract. Spain pick and roll? White is the guard who throws the pocket pass on time, or hits the shake shooter when the tag overcommits, or keeps it himself for a floater only if the rim is naked. No hero ball. 5-out delay? He's the second side trigger who rejects the handoff when the defender top locks and feeds the backside cut. Elbow split for AD? He's relocating with purpose, not jogging into a crowd. Against switches late, he has the touch to thread the slip and the patience to reset the action if the first read is choked. On defense, when teams spam empty side pick and roll to target a weaker point of attack defender, White is the answer that lets your help stay honest and your corners stay home. The number you feel, not just see, is the hidden possession saved, the kickout that doesn't become a turnover, the drive that becomes a contested 2 instead of a free throw parade, the loose ball that your guard gets a finger on because he was there a beat earlier. Those are the invisible 3 to 5 possessions that swing tight games. Now the brutal truth, prying Derrick White away is Mount Everest in trade form. He's under contract on a number commensurate with high-end guard impact. He's the heartbeat of what Boston does at the point of attack. And his skill set is rare. Teams don't trade rare without getting moved by an overpay or a multi-team framework that solves multiple problems at once. From the Lakers' side, the CBA tightens the screws. Apron rules limit the wiggle room. Salary in must meet salary out with very little tolerance. Pick flexibility is restricted by Steppian timelines and future obligations, and you cannot paper over the difference with gimmicks. Translation: Any hypothetical deal needs a clean salary match and a rationale for both teams. For the Lakers, that means a package that starts with a real rotation contract to match money, potentially another mid-sized deal to balance, and draft capital that hurts without bleeding out the future. For Boston, that means either a player who solves an immediate roster need in the front court or a perimeter piece who keeps their defensive identity intact, plus picks to justify losing a core guard. Is there a path? There is a narrow one, and it looks like this. The Lakers construct a three-team architecture where Boston upgrades size or depth at the 5 while maintaining perimeter integrity. The third team absorbs or sends the appropriate big on a friendly number, and the Lakers contribute picks and a rotation contract, not their entire future, but not pocket change either. You can picture the basic flows without naming names. A big lands in Boston, a perimeter connector lands in Los Angeles, a rebuilding team gets picks, and salaries pass through cleanly without triggering forbidden apron mechanics. The challenge is the price. White is too valuable to go for nice. Boston would be asking for necessary. If the ask is a cornerstone rotation piece the Lakers can't replace plus multiple unprotected firsts, you're out. If the ask is a fair but heavy mix, one real rotation contract, a prospect-level piece, and a premium pick, then you at least sit at the table and talk trade math with a straight face. Context matters here. J.J. Redick's system thrives on guards who think half a second faster than the play. White is that profile in bold. The team's pain points, late-game turnovers, bumpy point-of-attack defense, stalled second-side actions, are exactly where he lives. He would lower LeBron's creation burden without reducing his control, and he would harmonize with AD because he's disciplined at feeding the big and spacing responsibly. Add the intangibles. White's temperament is fit first. He never needs 8 straight possessions to find rhythm. He makes rhythm for others. In a locker room with shared stardom and high scrutiny, that personality matters. It keeps the offense collaborative and the defense talkative when legs get heavy. Let's talk rotations, because the real test of any move is how it looks on a random Tuesday in January. First unit, White, Reeves, LeBron, Rui, AD. You get double handlers, steady entry passing, and 2 legitimate screen navigators on the perimeter. Bench blend. White staggers with second units to stabilize possessions, run pick and roll with a rolling 5, or orchestrate Spain actions with a shooter in the back screen. Against switch-heavy playoff opponents, JJ can call for empty corner 2-man games with AD, trusting White to hunt the angle, not the step back. Late-game defense. Put White on the primary initiator, let Reeves handle the secondary action, keep LeBron on the strongest wing, and live with AD erasing mistakes. That gives you a closing 5 that doesn't need to play whack-a-mole with mismatches. It's boring in the best way. Clean, repeatable, ruthless. The downside scenarios are real and should be respected. If the cost forces you to detach a core glue piece, you risk winning the press conference and losing the locker room rhythm. If you overcommit future picks, you cap your flexibility for the next star window that inevitably opens in this league. And if you try to jam a deal without a third team that properly compensates Boston's outgoing impact, you end up either overpaying or settling for a move that looks good on a depth chart and bad on a playoff court. That's why this discussion is less about appetite and more about architecture. You need the kind of chess that turns 3 good teams' needs into one clean solution. Timing is its own character in this story. Once the mid-December trade eligibility gates open, real frameworks start to move from the whiteboard to the phone. January pressure tests everybody. Teams decide whether the first 20 games were a mirage or a mirror. February is truth. Contenders chase edges, sellers bank picks, and the middle clears its throat. If the Lakers hold serve through the first gate and the pain points remain the same, that's when a push for a premium connector makes the most sense. If internal growth solves the issues, if the turnover rate drops, if the second side actions hum, if the point of attack defense looks like a habit rather than a hope, then discipline says you keep your powder dry. The front office's job is to keep both doors open until one slams shut for you. I want you in this with me before the reveal. Drop your view in the comments right now. If the narrow path opens, salary matched without breaking the core, a third team stepping in, and the cost landing at a premium pick plus a rotation contract, do you push for Derrick White? Or do you keep the chest intact and trust internal improvement? How much would you pay in draft capital? Which current rotation piece is untouchable for you? I read everything, and this community is sharper when we debate the details, not just the dream. Here's my clean, professional read after running the tape in my head and the cap math on the napkin. On the floor, Derrick White is the single most elegant answer to the Lakers' most stubborn questions. He lifts your floor on Tuesdays and your ceiling in May. He gives J.J. Redick a guard who treats possessions like currency. He pairs with LeBron and AD like a well-cut suit. Nothing flashy, everything right. But trades live in reality, not romance. Boston values him like oxygen, and the new CBA makes shortcuts impossible. The only responsible path is a multi-team framework that solves something real for the Celtics, protects the Lakers' core connectivity, and prices the future at significant but sensible, not reckless. If that path opens, I make the call and I finish. If it doesn't, I walk. No half measures, no panic, no mortgaging tomorrow. Before I close, I want your pulse again. Be specific. If the ask is one premium first, one rotation contract, and a modest sweetener, are you all in on White? If the ask climbs into multiple unprotected firsts or pulls a core piece you believe in, where is your line? Tell me how you'd build the closing five with him. Tell me what matchup you'd be buying this move for. Tell me which series you think it would flip. This channel is built on that dialogue. My verdict, crisp and direct. White is a perfect on-court fit and a brutal trade target. I would pursue him only if a three-team structure keeps the Lakers' connective tissue intact and the pick cost stays premium but sane. Anything that empties the future or shreds the rotation is a no. If the right window opens, go through it. If not, protect the core, protect the picks, and hunt a smaller hinge that still tightens late-game control. If you appreciate analysis that respects your time and your intelligence, stay with me here on Lakers News Fan Report, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with the Laker friend who texts you at every fourth quarter timeout. When the next alert hits, I'll have the film, the fit, and the truth ready for you.